So you've spent weeks, maybe even months, polishing your research proposal. You are prepped to discuss your master's thesis, your publications, every last detail of your work. You walk in thinking the PhD interview is just a friendly chat about your research, but you'd be wrong. So that conversation is just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath, there's carefully designed to test to see if you have the hidden traits needed to actually survive a PhD. So today, we are pulling back the curtain on the 5 secret criteria the committee is really using to grade you. Here's the thing about a PhD interview. By the time you get one, the committee already knows you are smart enough. Your grades, your transcript, your glowing recommendation letters, all that got you in the door. The interview isn't only about retesting your qualifications. It's about figuring out if you, the person behind the CV, have what it takes to handle the demanding, often chaotic world of doctoral research. I'm Dr. Banda Khalifa. I've gone through the PhD application process multiple times and have mentored several students get into some of the most competitive programs across America and Europe. I've seen what separates a candidate who gets a polite thanks but no thanks from one who gets a fully funded offer. It almost always boils down to these 5 unspoken rules. So if you want to know what the committee is actually looking for, stick around, and hey, if you find this useful, hit that subscribe button. Let's figure this out together. So, what is the actual secret behind the PhD interview? Let's go through one after the other. Secret number 1 is beyond your CV. What's your real research potential? The first secret you're testing is research potential. And you might be thinking, great, I've got research experience on my CV, but they are not just looking at what you did. They are digging into how you think. A PhD isn't about following a recipe. It's about navigating the great unknown. It's training for how to do independent research, meaning you will face problems that have no answers in the textbook. The committee needs to see proof that you have the curiosity and critical thinking to deal with that uncertainty. They are hunting for your potential to cook up original ideas, troubleshoot the disasters that will happen, and ask clever questions. So, how do they test this? They will often throw you questions that push you right off your script. They will say something like, tell me about a time your research completely failed, or what were the biggest limitations of your last project? A personal favorite is, if I give you unlimited funding, what would you study? These questions aren't traps per se. They are windows into your brain. They want to see you think on your feet, critique your own work, and dream up future projects. To know this kind of question, you have to do more than just describe your past work. When they ask you about a challenge, frame it with a STAR method: situation, task, action, and results. But really lean into the action part. Did you have to teach yourself a new coding language? Did you have to rethink your whole experiment from scratch? That shows initiative. And when you talk about future research, let your excitement show. Connect your ideas to the big unanswered questions in your field. This proves you are not just a good student, you are a budding researcher ready to add something new to the conversation. Secret number 2, the coachability factor. Can they work with you? Is another question they are testing in your PhD interview. So the second secret is what I call the coachability factor. This is the one so many candidates forget. The admissions committee is not admitting a student per se. They are picking a future colleague, a mentee, and someone they will be stuck in the lab or a research team with for the next 5 to 7 years. They need to know you're someone they can actually guide and work alongside. Let's be blunt. No professor wants to supervise someone who is arrogant, someone who is defensive, or can't take a little criticism. A PhD is a long collaborative journey, and a difficult personality can sour the entire lab environment. They are looking for someone who is confident but humble, with a genuine desire to learn. So how do they test this? They might ask you directly, how do you handle feedback on your work? Or describe your ideal supervisor. but they also have subtle tricks. An interviewer might intentionally poke a hole in your research proposal. They might lean back and say, I'm not totally convinced by your methodology here. Did you consider this alternative approach? Their goal isn't to make you feel small. It's a stress test. They are watching your live reaction. Do you get defensive or do you take a breath? Engage thoughtfully and either defend your choice with solid reasoning or show you're open to their idea. To prove you're coachable, treat the interview like a discussion, not an interrogation. When they ask you about criticisms, frame it as a gift. Say something like, I see feedback as crucial. My last supervisor pointed out a huge flaw in my analysis, and while it was tough to hear, it led me to a much stronger paper. When they challenge you, listen. Acknowledge their point. This shows maturity and proves you're someone they want to invest their time and energy for the long haul. So the third secret is all about intellectual horsepower. Your transcript proves you can pass classes, but the interview is where they test the depth and flexibility of your knowledge in real time. They need to know you have the technical and theoretical chops to not just start a PhD, but to actually thrive in high-level courses and contribute to complex discussions. This is way more than surface-level knowledge. It's about showing you have a rock-solid grasp of the fundamentals, that you've been reading the key papers, and that you can hold your own in a conversation with an expert. Can you keep up? And eventually, can you push a conversation forward? They often test this right after maybe you present your own research. The question will start and they will get deeper and deeper. An interviewer might ask you to justify a specific statistical test you chose. They might bring up a paper published last month that challenges your core assumptions and ask for your take. They might even ask you to explain a fundamental theory in your field, like you're teaching it to a first-year student. The absolute worst thing to do here is to bluff. It is always better to say something like, that's a great question, and I'm not familiar with that specific paper or theory, but here's how I would think about it, than to fake it. To crash this section, you need to know your research inside and out. Not just what you did, but why you made every single choice. And do your homework on them. Read a few recent papers from every professor interviewing you. Be ready with a specific, insightful question about their work. Imagine asking, I was really fascinated by your 2024 paper on protein folding. I was wondering how the latest AlphaFold model might be impacting your current work on that. This shows you've done your homework and you can think critically at their level. That's the horsepower they are looking for. And test number 4 is the resilience test. So the first secret they are testing in your PhD interview is for resilience and grit. PhD is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a journey paved with failed experiments, rejected papers, and soul-crushing moments of self-doubt. The committee knows this because they've all lived it. They need to be sure you have the mental toughness to make it through. Your grades show you're smart, but a PhD is just as much a test of character as it is of intellect. They are trying to figure out your motivation. Are you here because you have a burning, unshakable need to answer a question, or are you just trying to get another credential because you're not sure what else to do? Only real passion will carry you through the lows. This is the real reason they ask that classic question, why do you want a PhD? They are not looking for flattery about their university's ranking. They are probing the source of your drive. Other questions like, tell me about your biggest failure, or what's your greatest weakness? Test the same thing. They are measuring your self-awareness and your ability to bounce. So to show your resilience, your why PhD answer has to be personal and authentic. Talk about a specific research problem that keeps you up at night. Explain the moment you realized a PhD was the only way to get the tool to solve it. For the failure or weakness question, be honest but strategic. Pick a real weakness but focus your answer on what you learned and the concrete steps you've taken to improve. For example, you could say something like, I used to have a real fear of public speaking. To tackle it, I started volunteering to present at every lab meeting or conference and even joined a workshop, which has made me far more confident. This turns a negative into a story of growth and proves you have the grit to not just survive a PhD, but to thrive. The fifth and final secret they are testing in your PhD interview is the fit factor, and it might be the most important of all. Let's be real here. Every single person who gets an interview is qualified. The final decision often boils down to who is the best fit for that specific program, that specific lab, and that specific supervisor right now. Fit is not only about being the best applicant overall, it's about being the right applicant. It's a puzzle. Do your research interests perfectly align with a professor who just got funding and is looking for a new student? Do you bring a specific skill? Maybe you're a genius with a certain lab technique or programming language that the lab is missing. Does your personality seem like it would mesh with the current team? The interview is their main tool for figuring that out. They test this with the most direct questions. Why this program specifically? And which professors are you interested in working with and why? A generic answer here is the case of death. Your university has an excellent reputation is a useless statement. They want to know why you belong with them. So to prove you fit in their program, you have to do serious research. Go way beyond the department's homepage. Read recent papers from 2 or 3 professors you genuinely be thrilled to work with. In your answer, name them and reference their work specifically. Say something like, I'm especially drawn to this program because of Dr. Banda's work on applying machine learning in neuroscience. His 2025 paper in Nature on neural decoding is directly related to my goal of developing a brain-computer interfaces, and I think my background in signal processing could be real valuable for his project. Anyway, I made up that name. An answer like that shows you're not only throwing applications at a wall, you've made a deliberate choice. You are not just applying for a PhD, you are applying for their PhD. When you show them you are the missing piece of their puzzle, you make their decision incredibly easy. So there you have it. The PhD interview isn't just a friendly chat about your past research. It's a full body scan of your potential as a future scientist. They are measuring your real research potential, your coachability factor, your intellectual horsepower, your resilience and grit, and most importantly, your fit with the program. Understanding this framework lets you go beyond just reciting your CV. It empowers you to show them the core traits they are actually looking for. You are not just a list of accomplishments. Remember that. You are a future colleague, and this is your chance to prove it. If this helped you make sense of the PhD interview, please give this video a like and subscribe for more contents like this. I also want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with one interview question that worries you the most, and let's break it down together. Good luck, and go show them what you are made of.